Hey crystal lovers, Ashley Levy here with the Love and Light School of Crystal Therapy, and I wanted to pop over here today to do a little chat about selenite. I want to talk about some of the healing properties of selenite, but I also want to clear up some controversy over some posts I've seen on social media about fake selenite. So hello and welcome. Chances are, if you have been working with crystals for a while, if you've been learning about them online, maybe watching YouTube videos or following some of your favorite crystal healers or speakers on Instagram or Facebook, then you've probably seen some chatter online about selenite, right? And there's all this stuff going around about fake selenite. So the claim is, and I want to clear this up and just get you kind of thinking about it. The claim is that this stuff right here, which you're probably all pretty familiar with, is fake selenite. Now, I want to give a caveat, although that is technically maybe true, it's really misleading and not entirely accurate. So let's talk about this a little bit. Why are people saying that this is fake selenite? Because the name selenite actually refers to the clear form of gypsum crystals. So can you see this? It's like more like a window. It's totally transparent. This is technically selenite, and people are saying that this stuff, this is fake selenite, is what they're saying, and that it's truly called satin spar. Now, is that technically accurate? Yes, but it's also incredibly misleading, and here's why. These, they're the same thing. The names that we use to identify certain things sometimes are not necessarily grounded in science, I suppose. This is what we call selenite to describe more its appearance, to differentiate it as a clear form of gypsum. This stuff, the white striated stuff, we call satin spar. They have the same chemical composition. They're both gypsum. They're both the same thing, but there's a clear variety and a white variety. It would be kind of like the difference in a rough chunk of rose quartz versus the rose quartz that actually has terminated crystals on it. The terminated crystalline rose quartz is more uncommon. It's a little bit rarer, and it's sometimes called a different name. It's called celestial rose quartz, right? And yes, does it differ in its outward appearance and structure from the rough chunks? Sure, it does, but are they both rose quartz? Heck yeah. Is the rough stuff, is that like fake rose quartz? Is it a rose quartz wannabe? No, they're both rose quartz. The same goes for these two things, and I see some of you in the comments agreeing with me, especially Jen. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So this has been becoming one of my ultimate pet peeves, people saying that this is fake selenite. It is not fake selenite. I don't know like who started this whole thing, but it has become a pet peeve. I'm here to set the record straight. Technically, do we call the clear stuff selenite, and technically, do we call the striated, whiter stuff satin spar? Sure, but they're both gypsum. And this has become so ubiquitously called selenite now that really, I think it's splitting hairs to even say this is selenite and this isn't, because although that may have been true at one time for differentiating between these two varieties of gypsum, which they're both the same thing, again, I think it's important to note that this has become so widely referred to as selenite, and the name is used interchangeably, that really there's no difference, right? That's the same thing. You guys can see that's the same thing, right? So this is not fake selenite. It is satin spar, a variety of gypsum, and this is a clear variety of gypsum. But same thing, same thing. Now, getting that out of the way before we even go forward talking about these crystals, I'm so happy that all of you are like getting that makes sense to you, that this conversation's appreciated, because I know it has been super confusing for so many of you who are into crystals to be hearing this and be like, what? All this stuff look at this. Look at I have a tub of selenite. I have a tub of it. So I can imagine if you had been building up a crystal toolkit and you felt like, oh my gosh, are all of my selenite crystals fake, you would be super bummed out, right? Or you'd feel duped or misled. No, it's actually this post claiming the fake selenite. That's a bit misleading. So I thought I would just share a couple of my favorite different selenite pieces and explain why I like them so much, talk a little bit about their properties. So primarily, selenite is a crystal for cleansing and purification. It has a long history with that, probably because of its color. It's that brilliant kind of shiny white. It also looks a bit like the moon, and I have some selenite with moons carved on it. So you can see this is from one of my favorite artists, from Andrea at Fractalista. Fractalista Designs. Andrea does the coolest selenite etchings and engravings. So I love this, having the actual symbol of the moon on the selenite, which is named for Selene, the Greek moon goddess. And you can kind of see, here's a really big one, you can kind of see why it might be named for the moon. Doesn't that kind of remind you of the full moon, the way it reflects that light, just like the moon reflects the light of the sun? So this is where selenite gets its name, is from that moon goddess Selene. And it has this deep connection with the moon, which is also seen as very cleansing and purifying, especially when it's in its full moon phase. So this is where we get part of our connection for the properties for selenite. And then I also have like a little crescent moon shaped selenite here. Love these. But you often see selenite in some other distinct shapes that you can find other minerals in, but they're specific to selenite in the way that they're connected with cleansing. So for example, there's a really large piece here. This is a selenite cleansing plate. Sometimes you'll see them called charging plates. I tend to think of cleansing and charging a little bit differently. Some people think of them as like cleansing takes energy out, charging puts it back in. I view this a little bit differently, and my crystal healing certification students that are here will tell you that. We go through this really in depth in my CCH program, which will be opening for enrollment in just a couple weeks. So these cleansing plates, and this one is etched with kind of a flower of life shape. These basically you can put by your bedside table in your sacred space, and you can set other crystals on top of them to cleanse them. You can just leave them overnight. This is a really simple way to cleanse your crystals. Some people, as I mentioned, also use them for charging. I think of charging a little bit differently though, a little out of the scope for this video, but think of them as a way just to cleanse the energy from your crystals. The only thing you need to keep in mind with this method of cleansing is that if you're using a large charging plate to do something like cleanse your crystals, so say I put my nice pink tourmaline on here, then if it's cleansing this crystal, you have to also cleanse your selenite plates periodically. There are some things online, some different sources that say selenite is a crystal that never needs cleansing. I think that's a little bit overreaching. I think it's important to still routinely and regularly cleanse your crystals, especially ones that are being used for heavy duty work, like cleansing other stones, and that are kind of in your sacred space all the time, or in any part of your home, just kind of picking up on extra energy. So that's really important. Another tool that you'll see that has become really popular are these selenite harmonizers, they're called. I think these were primarily popularized by Energy Muse. And it's just, they're 2 cylinders, and you hold them in the hands, and it's thought to like move energy through the body, cleanse the body. They're really cool for meditation. They can just, I like having something to hold on to kind of tune into. I'm a really tactile, physical person, so for me, I do like the weightiness of something like that. And there's also little bowl shapes similar to the charging plates, but in a bowl. So these are great for your jewelry. So if you want to take your jewelry off at the end of the night, throw it in a little bowl. You can also use these like a little offering bowl on your altar in your sacred space. So some really cool ways to look at different tools for healing, for purification. I have a great new blog post article online right now. You can catch it at loveandlightschool.com. Hover over resources, click on blog. It's the very first one that you'll see there. It's all about the healing properties of selenite. I have an excellent new podcast episode out as well. If you don't know about my podcast yet, it's Love and Light Live, Crystal Healing Podcast. So I go way in depth about the healing properties, the lore and mythology, some ways to work with selenite in that newest podcast episode. It's the first one I've had since going on holiday break. Next week, I'll be doing an episode all about the upcoming High Holy Day of Imbolc. So I'll be talking a little bit about Imbolc as a seasonal holiday. And I'm really excited about kind of getting back into the groove of podcasts and videos for you. But I wanted to come on and say hi live to all of you here because it's been a minute since I've been on video, and I'm really excited to be back doing everything. You can also check out past videos on my website or on YouTube. And if you do head over to loveandlightschool.com to check out that most recent blog post and podcast, you can also find my free video training series all about crystal healing right in the header of the website. So thank you so much for coming and hanging out, listening to my little chat about selenite today, my big pet peeves about this fake selenite idea. So remember, when you see these two things, technically, yes, this clear one would be selenite, this one would be satin spar, but they are the same exact mineral. Both gypsum, same chemical composition and formula, just a little different outward appearance. And I think when they have a different outward appearance, we experience them a little bit differently, but they share a lot of their same properties. It's more about the way that we feel the energy, the way that we experience the energy that's different. It's like different expressions of the same thing, right? You might have two different colors of roses, but they're both still roses and they're both beautiful. So that's kind of the idea here. That's it. Just a little brief chat about some selenite crystals today. I hope you're having as great of a day as I am, and until next time, crystal blessings.